Hello everyone, I am Dikanshu Pandey. Welcome back to my channel. And in this video, I will be talking about a new learning which I learned while reading a new chapter of this book, Don't Believe Everything You Think. And the chapter name is If We Stop Thinking, What Do We Do About Our Goals, Dreams, and Ambitions? And this was a quite fascinating topic and a very informative and like thought provoking chapter. And before digging deep into the chapter, I'm assuming that you already know the difference between the thought and the thinking, which I shared in my previous video in reference to this book. So here in this book, the author says that there is a difference. Mainly, the sources of dreams and goals are there are two sources. First one is the inspiration, and the other one is desperation. So he says that now the question arises, what's the difference between inspiration and desperation? So desperation is just like when a goal is not it's not actually an end goal. It is a goal to take you to take you closer to the main end goal. That is goal which is made out of desperation. So generally, but there is nothing wrong with it, but it's just about the feeling, how you feel. So when you make goals or decision out of desperation, what happens is, he says that you are in a state that like when you make a goal out of desperation, then the intention to achieve is you have to do it. You have to do it. Then there is a kind of compulsion, and you are in a state of you are a bit afraid, or when you make a out of compulsion, then there is a situation that you are afraid that what will happen if you don't achieve that goal. So that kind of creates a sense of insecurity and limits your capability. And the author says that why when we make how come we make decisions out of desperation. So let's keep it for the second part. There is a second part of it. So the second part is how to determine whether the goal which we have decided is made out of inspiration or desperation. So I'll be talking in that part. So yes, this is what happens when we make a decision or goal out of desperation, is that you find it painful and excruciating, it was written that like again, yeah, here like the example can be, you want to get a multi-million-dollar business just to get financial freedom. So now the end goal is financial freedom, but the goal which has been made out of desperation is to earn a particular amount of money. So that is a goal out of desperation, which is common in most of the cases, right? But in the journey to attain that 5 million or whatever the amount is, what happens is we choose whatever idea we get. Not actually, it is not actually an idea, but we try to we put our thinking and we try to work upon whatever idea we get or whatever we perceive around from our surrounding. So that is what a goal out of desperation look like. Whereas what a goal out of inspiration looks like is, just to give you more of a hint, that inspiration is more linked to with thoughts. So when it comes to inspiration, you are getting inspired by something. There is not a sense of you have to do that, whereas there is a sense of you want to do that. So there is a difference between between both of these things. When we were talking about desperation, there was a need, there was a compulsion, and when the compulsion comes up, there is a sense of a lot of responsibility or burden. You put a lot of pressure over yourself, and you are afraid that what will happen if this thing doesn't work out. So that is what desperation is, and I was about to relate to it when I was reading this topic, because there was a time when I started preparing for CA, chartered accountancy. And I think that was that decision, that goal which I made, the dream to be a chartered accountant, was out of desperation. Because when I started preparing for it, that journey got, oh, I was overly burdened with it. I don't know why. I was a lot of, I was afraid a lot that what will happen, what will be the what the consequences going to be if I don't clear the exam. And I was, and those ideas or that thought was continuously just roaming around, were continuously nudging me and keeping me awake more often. So that goal was kind of just uh, putting me out of my way. So that was a tough time, and so I realized that that was out of desperation. That's why, because I was about to relate to it while I was reading it, and the idea, the thought which directly hit me was that time when I was preparing for CA. So I think that was out of desperation. The example can be that, and it put me a lot of under pressure, and eventually I skipped that thing because maybe some way or the other way I made that decision out of desperation, uh, and I didn't let my inner instinct to tell me what I want to do. Want, that's again want comes because inspiration is always followed by the want, what you want to do, not what you have to do. When you know what you want to do, then automatically you will have to do something to attain that want thing, right? So the have comes up, but in a later stage, not you start working on an idea with have, you have to do that. No, you want to do that, then to achieve that thing you have to do these things. Now when I talk about the inspiration part, I can relate with my current stage. Right now I want to join the Indian Army. So I want to join Indian Army. I'm not in a stage of fear. I'm at complete harmony, because inspiration lets you be with yourself, who you are. Whereas desperation, at the stage of desperation, it puts you and lets you think, or it nudges you, forces you to be somebody else. So I inspired to be a soldier. Okay, so that inspiration was came in from the instincts within me. I want to be a soldier, but to be a soldier I have to study. So sometimes there are moments when I feel overburdened, like I feel that I am saturated. So that's a different state. That have, it is deriving from the have again, but I have to do something to be a soldier. You can't just directly become a soldier. So it's a later part. The first part is I want to be a soldier, the want is coming, so that is inspirational. And I'm not afraid whether I'll get into the army or not, because want never overburdens you. There will be so many instincts, like instincts will be on the basis of exposure I get, on the basis of advancement I make in the career. There may be a thing that there was a aspiration of mine to be a soldier. If it works out well, if it doesn't, then definitely the universe will help you to figure out some other ways, because you, you as a human, you are not limited to one want. It's obvious that if this thing doesn't work out, then automatically my instinct will tell me that the other thing is good for you. You have to make harmony, and this is the best thing about inspiration part. You are already in harmony. It works out well. If it doesn't works out well, then it is more better. It is better. You will figure out something else. So that is what inspiration. So now the topic comes how to determine whether whatever you are seeking is out of inspiration or out of desperation. I think from the past minutes which I talked about, that is sufficient to determine whether it is out of inspiration or desperation. Because if you are feeling happy, you are like you're at complete peace with your current stage. Like if you are preparing and you are in a harmony, that if it works out good, otherwise you'll have to restart with something else, right? Then it might be that it is out of inspiration. If you are just continuously thinking, you worrying yourself that whether it is going to work out or not, whether I'll clear it or not, then maybe it is because of desperation. You are just forcing yourself that you have to achieve that goal. Whereas in my case, I want to achieve that goal, right? So there is a difference. But again, if you want to go in little bit depth of whether it is a whether it is a inspiration or out of desperation, then he says that it can be determined easily that inspiration the source of inspiration is thought, and the desperation is thinking. A single thought which comes up into your mind and which puts you in a position that you feel so much energy, like this is my calling, I want to do that, and you have deep sense of deep feeling, and you feel that you want to create something out of it, then that is inspiration. That thought led you to dream that. But whereas when we start pondering over that thought or thinking over that thought, then it takes us into a negative state. The thought tells us more often, thought tells us about what we can do. Just in a childhood stage, just as a child, whosoever is a child, he gets so vivid or so like strange kind of dreams. But the society hasn't put them in a stage where they think that whether I can do that. They don't over analyze about it. They just get a dream, they share with their friends, but obviously they are not in a stage to work over them. Sometimes they do work over them, but sometimes they don't. But they are not in a state to overthink about it. Then that it gets toxic kind of thing, because you are, it's as a human nature, you find when you think, you try to tell yourself the excuses or the reason why you can't work over it, why you can't create that thing, that source of inspiration, that inspiration which you get, why you can't work over that inspiration. That's the negative effect of thinking. And thinking leads you to desperation. Now you say that no, I can't do that because it requires that skill or whatever skill. Now what can I do with whatever skill I have? That is thinking is all derived from your past experiences and what little information you know you have about yourself. Because thinking puts you in a state which is beyond the reality, which is not, which is in a virtual world. So if you are thinking about yourself, if you are continuously thinking, then automatically you will not be self-aware. Whereas if you will cut down the flow of the thinking, and you will try to be observational to your thoughts, then automatically you will be self-aware. And if you are self-aware, then you know what you want to do. And but yes, thinking leads you in a state where you are continuously telling you what you can do with whatever available resources you have. And more often when we are thinking, when we are in a state of thinking, we, as I said, we know very less about ourselves. We are not self-aware, and whatever information we have about ourselves is very limited to what our awareness has allowed us to know. So in that situation, whatever decision we make is out of desperation. That never helps us. So because we just kept our inspiration out, we just subsided it, we just put it aside, and we let our thinking work, what we can do, what I need to do with available resources, which was just false, because we aren't actually self-aware about ourselves. So instead of working on what my instinct told me, we start working over something different, which puts us in a state where we are not happy with ourselves, with our surrounding and everything, and ultimately it keeps us in a gloomy and in a desperate state, with that desperate goal. So it's a negative part, it's, you are ultimately sad about yourself, and it won't be helping you in the long run. Maybe it works out for you, like you are hyperly active, that you have to do that, you are super motivated, but then a moment will come up where you will ask yourself, why am I doing this? So why is, again, there are so many things in correlation to each other, that why is correlated with that inspiration. Why are you doing that? Does this makes you happy? When you will ask that question in the long run, or any time whenever you will ask, I don't think you will be able to find the answer to it. But when you work as per your instinct and the inspiration, then definitely you have the answers. And you only work as per your inspiration when you are not letting your thinking overrule your thoughts. And ultimately you are more self-aware, and so many things comes into play then. So the first and foremost thing is, don't let your thinking come and take over your thoughts, hijack your thoughts. Okay, be in control of your mind. Like, let control your mind or be in harmony with your mind. I often say that you can't control your mind, it's a very difficult thing, but what you can do is be in harmony with your mind. Treat your mind as a friend, not as a slave. Don't People often say that don't be a slave of your mind, uh, control it, but I am not in a but I don't support that theory. My school of thought is you should befriend your mind, because treat him as a friend, and that way you both can work together and achieve that ultimate goal, whatever you have decided or whatever has been made for you. So yes, that's all I wanted to share in this video. Don't let thinking overrule your thoughts. So that's it. That's what I learned in this chapter, and I hope you find this video helpful and quite practical, and hope you will be able to implement these things in your life as well. Let me know in the comments if you find this video helpful, and keep watching and be learning every time. Thank you for watching.